Rockets. Hello and welcome to episode 62 of Two Man Game with Damon and Dom. I'm Damon, that's Dom, and you are the listener. Before we get into it today, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube if you're listening on Spotify. Leave 5 stars and with either platform. Share it to everyone in every way that you know how. Episode 62, December 18th is the date of recording this. A week away from Christmas if you celebrate, also the first day of Hanukkah. So either of those holidays are right around the corner here. Dom, how are we doing today?
I'm doing good. We were talking a little bit before the pod. I'm redecorating my room because I got a new bed. So picked up some furniture today. I'm very excited about that. And watched the NBA Cup yesterday. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And I've been good. I'm mostly excited. I mean, I'm coming back to Texas Sunday, so
Yes, sir.
excited to see you. Excited to see other friends, my parents, and everything. So that's mostly what's been on my mind, and then just getting things done at work, and that's about it. Getting ready for the band for 2025. Excited for that. And then you and I are going to go to a game next week. Don't forget. Oh,
Yeah,
if we go to the Rockets game is the 29th, I think, right? I think it was the 29th. So I'll
I thought it was
definitely
like
be
the
in town.
27th, but I could be so wrong.
If it's the 27th, then I definitely have to come on Friday. I probably will meet you in Houston or something.
Yeah,
Um,
that'd be awesome though.
but yeah, how are you doing?
Doing well, trying to get to the break here. Friday is the last day of work for me. I'm assuming it's similar for you. Um, So, just trying to make it, dragging this week a little bit.
Yeah.
Band stuff has been good. We had two gigs this past weekend, Friday and Sunday, and I played at both of them.
Wait, didn't
Um,
you? It was in the rain, right?
the Friday gig was in the rain, the 37th Street Light Show in Austin. They do like it's like a block party of lights, and we were just playing during that, and it was just like pouring the whole time. Not pouring, but it was like I was soaked when I left
Yeah.
that. But it was a lot of fun. I kind of just dove in and was kind of embracing it. Um, and then Sunday we have a residency at a bar in Austin
Oh,
that we play at once a month called
very cool.
Stargazer. So we did that.
Oh, okay. Where is it in Austin?
It's like East Austin,
Hmm.
which not a
Very
lot of our
cool.
gigs are. So I think that's kind of the point of it is to get us around a little bit.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Um, but yeah, they were both very fun. And then I broke my mallet also. It's the Sunday
Oh,
gig.
I did see that. Yeah.
Um,
Wow.
so like during the third song, my head of my mallet just flew off, and I was like, great.
You don't know
Um,
your own strength. You're too strong, dude. Too
yeah.
strong.
Now the percussionists have decided to call me Damon the Destroyer because I play really hard and break stuff.
It's
Um,
too long. Just call you Destroyer.
yeah, it's a little long, but it was fun. It was fun. Um,
That's sick.
yeah. Aside from that, everything's been good, fine and dandy.
Love that, man. I can't wait to see you and play some
Oh yeah, we're
basketball.
gonna we're gonna hoop. We were maybe get a pod in person, but we might not. The schedules may not align there, so this could be the last pod of 2024. I don't know.
Wow, I didn't even think about that. Well, honestly, it's been a great year. This is the first year we did it every single month and everything,
Right, right, right.
because we did start last year and it's been a full NBA season, but this is the first full year, and that's pretty
Yeah,
sick. I'm happy for us.
we're
I'm
still
happy for
going.
us. Yeah, absolutely. No, I honestly I do love this. I love talking hoops. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah, and the tradition. What are you wearing? What are we doing?
I'm wearing Lunar New Year's right now. It's not the
Oh,
Lunar New Year. It's about to be the normal New Year, but
yeah.
normal sounds bad. That makes it sound like lunar's not normal. It's gonna be the traditional New Year. Maybe that's better.
They just say just like New Year for the
American.
whole world. American New Year. American New Year
Uh,
is 4th of July. Thank you very much. I'm
we
wearing a Dallas
we had a
versus all y'all shirt, by the way.
oh, not the all y'all.
All y'all.
Jeez.
Yeah, come on, dude.
We had a poll the other day at work.
And what
I
was it?
make the polls.
Oh,
And the
fun.
poll was what's your least favorite holiday, and I put Fourth of July. No,
Um,
I do not care for
that's
Fourth of July.
that's a really good question because I don't really care for a lot of those like random Monday ones,
But yes, I also like somebody put President's Day, and I was like, yeah, who cares about? No one cares about
Yeah,
President's
yeah.
Day.
It's like, well, I guess it's like things that people will like go and celebrate for. So I guess 4th of July makes sense in that respect
Yeah,
because like there are like fireworks, like there is something done. I probably pick that one. I'd have to think about it more. I don't like Valentine's Day that much.
that's
Um,
fair.
also one, but also it's not like a thing. Like you don't go out to do. I don't know. Anywho, I have a surprise. Can I do this? I texted you this earlier,
Okay.
or like earlier in the week. So
Yeah.
so I was out buying a Christmas gift for my boss,
Yeah.
and he likes wine. So I went to like a wine shop to like get him like something cool. And I came across this wine. I did not expect to run into it, and it is a James Harden
Ah,
wine.
I have purchased this. I have seen this before.
You bought it
Yeah,
and you
I
didn't try it on pod? What
that's
the
fair.
hell?
That's very fair. I'm not a big wine guy.
Me either. Well,
But
I'm
you know,
about to drink it
sometimes
right
Autumn likes to dabble in the wine when we eat or something like that. So I'll go to the store and just look around and grab a different one that I think we haven't tried yet. And I have tried James Harden's wine before. I don't remember. Most red wines taste very similar to me, so I couldn't tell you.
Yeah. Can I tell you what the back says? Did you read
But
it?
no, probably I don't remember though.
Uh, James Harden and Jay Shed wines manifest my passion for art, fashion, and people. What? A range of smooth, jammy, and full-bodied wines that connect my worlds. This bold red blend from California showcases plum, sweet cherry, and oak. So swag, so easy.
I, maybe I didn't read it because I remember so swag so easy.
That's
That's
what I was
really
saying. It's just,
bad.
also when I went to the checkout, so the wine I got my boss, he likes basketball too.
Yeah.
His is all orange and says slam dunk.
I've seen that
Um,
one. Yeah,
yeah, and so I got him that one. This I could not get him this one. This looks terrible for like a gift. It looks like spring break in a bottle. It looks terrible. Um,
yeah.
but when I went to the checkout, I said I had to buy this. I love basketball. He goes, "Oh yeah, John Harden. Yeah, he's got a wine." And he's like,
John
"Yep,
Arden. That's
John
the
Harden's
guy.
got a wine. That's him." Well, I'm gonna try it real quick. But that's the surprise. I
That's a
thought
good surprise.
if you would have bought it, I thought you would have done this, but I guess not.
No, no. Maybe maybe I didn't buy it. Maybe I
Dude,
just saw it, but
dude. So swag, so easy.
oh, reviewed live on the pod. I
Um,
haven't done one of these in a while. What was the last one I had? Like the ice cream, the Spurs ice cream.
oh yeah, and I mean,
What?
I remember when I was like, I think I might do wine every pod. I did it once. I was
You
like, I'm
did
not
it
doing it
once.
again. Because JJ Redick is now my
Right,
coach, not my
right,
podcast. So,
right.
and you know
Living in the
what?
spirit.
Yeah, now you
Maybe
know
he does
what?
that every game. Maybe he's drinking wine over there before
He's
before
yeah, and
each
like instead
game.
of in like the Gatorade bottles, he's just squirting red wine in his mouth. That'd be crazy. I would love that. That's what LeBron's like. Like you look at his teeth; it's like all red during a game. That'd be so funny. Can we start a rumor? JJ Redick drinks red wine
That's the
during a
title of
game.
the pod right
Please, please,
there.
please. Tell me some news, shall we?
Let's dive in. Yeah. AJ, Asia.
Mm-mm.
It's Asia.
Asia,
I don't know
yeah.
why I said AJ.
I only know that because of the Car Max commercials, I think.
I knew it was Asia. I just said AJ. I don't know why. Asia Wilson signed a 6-year extension with Nike to have one of the richest shoe deals in women's basketball. Of course, I think 3-time MVP,
Hmm.
2-time champion. So one of the best players in the WNBA. No surprise there. You'll love to see it.
Absolutely. It's very cool to see. I can't wait to. I haven't like looked into her shoes. It would be cool to see.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm only really familiar with the Sabrinas. That's about it.
Gotcha. Yeah. And in the same kind of vein, Damian Lillard signed a lifetime contract extension with Adidas, joining LeBron, Kevin Durant, and Steph as the only active players with lifetime shoe endorsements. So LeBron's Nike,
Yep,
Kevin Durant Nike because I have, and
it's
then
Nike.
Steph
Yeah,
is Under Armour because he
right. He
puts
is Under Armour.
at this
Like
point, yeah.
he's the company.
Oh, also, I mean, we could also add this, but De'Aaron Fox's shoes will be available soon for fans.
Oh yeah,
Because I keep seeing commercials for that for Steph Curry brand. What's the brand called? You remember?
I have no idea.
I forget. Anyways, let's go into injuries.
Okay. Um, only two major injuries to talk about, both for the same team. Joel Embiid suffered a sinus fracture against the Pacers. He's going to be reevaluated in about a week. That news came out a couple days ago. So still about 5 days until they'll reevaluate him, but sinus fractures not sound pleasant.
Dude, are we gonna see him in a mask again?
Mast Embiid is a different demon.
Dude, we've talked about this, but masked players are crazy cool looking.
Especially when they
Like
wear like the I remember the one in Beat War was like black. It looked like a
black, yeah.
WWE mask. Like
Like
it
a
looked scary.
superhero. Yeah. No, that's sick. I this next news made me really sad because he's
Yeah.
having a great season. Jared McCain, rookie.
The
Uh, it-
last hope for the Sixers this season.
Honestly, he was one of the only bright spots of this season. Jared McCain is out indefinitely after tearing his lateral meniscus in his left knee. This is not the first time we've heard about this injury a lot this year. This is
Yeah.
crazy. But out indefinitely, I mean, probably out for the season, I'd guess.
It depends on, I think, the severity of the tear.
Hmm.
If it's a partial tear, he could come back. But if it's like a fully torn meniscus, he's definitely done. I don't know if the severity has been released just yet. What the surgery will be and all that good stuff.
I did see today that the NBA released like their top three Kia like rookie of the year,
Yeah,
and it was Jared McCain first for a while because he has been the best
right.
one. And then it had Stephon Castle
Yeah.
first, and then it had Jared McCain go down to number two. And I was like, "You're gonna do that after they announced his injury? Really? You're gonna do that? You're like, we don't think he's gonna be number one anymore. He has a torn meniscus. Like,
Right.
let a man breathe. Come on."
I said on the spot that I wanted the Rockets to draft Stephon Castle. He's
Oh
been really
yeah,
good.
he has been really good. I mean, it's just Reed Shepard's not bad. It just doesn't when he's gonna play.
Right. We got too many
Sucks.
guys. Too many
Too many
guys.
guys. We'll get into the Rockets. They're doing great.
Yeah. But
Um,
first, we had some
Reeds.
trades. This first one's not actually a trade, but the Pistons waived Paul Reed just to give themselves a little bit of roster and salary flexibility for the trade deadline. It's about 2 months away now. And, unfortunate. Paul Reed, I think, was only playing like 12 minutes a game or something over there, but I think he's a fine NBA player. Picked him up after the 76ers waived him. So now we'll see if he lands somewhere. Um, I imagine he will. Yeah.
I get like this is crazy because the 76ers waive him, and now the Pistons waive him. And I watched him play Monday against the Heat, and he had some pretty solid minutes. Like he's a good NBA player. Maybe the Lakers can pick him up. I think we only have one roster spot. I think we're trying to make bigger moves. I don't want to get into that because it's there's just a whole bunch of stuff that could happen, I guess. But
Yeah.
Paul Reed will end up somewhere. It's just unfortunate to see that, but hopefully someone that can appreciate him and he'll get some minutes.
Yeah.
Another player who needs to be appreciated, or he could be appreciated more. I don't really know. Lakers legend Thomas Bryant has been traded from the Heat to the Pacers for a second round pick swap.
That's
That's
about
it.
as low as you can trade something for. It's like basically trading for cash considerations. But yeah, this is I think the Pacers, we've already talked about Miles Turner's injury. Who did they lose for this? They lost Isaiah Jackson
Isaiah
and Wiseman
Jackson
both for
and
the
why?
season. So they definitely needed some bigger guys. I know they signed, I think we talked about Moses Brown not that many pods ago. So
Yeah.
they're just getting guys, and Thomas Bryant was a bench warmer for the Heat, basically. So
Yeah, and I know the I'm pretty sure Miles Turner is back, and I know they had Jalen Smith running the five at some points, but I mean Thomas Bryant isn't bad. He's kind of like a Miles Turner. He stretches the floor, um, so he's not bad by any means. But as soon as Isaiah Jackson and James Wise, I mean definitely Isaiah Jackson, he'll get out of there. But this okay, let's talk about the next trade because this trade I was um not shook. I was kind of shook.
first trade that mattered.
Um, yeah, honestly, for so far this season, definitely. The Nets traded Dennis Schroeder and a second round pick to the Warriors for DeAnthony Melton and three second round picks. So DeAnthony Melton out for the season with a
Yep.
torn Achilles. So
I think it's
basically,
ACL, but yeah,
oh, sorry, yes, it is ACL, torn ACL. And so basically, he's not going to play this year for the Nets, and they just got three second round picks
yeah,
and Dennis Schroeder goes off of the Nets, which is they're trying to tank probably at some point
right.
to a contender or trying to be a contender. And
They
I mean
won too many games.
they already have. But he's going to the Warriors. They need a defense. You got a great defender, and you got another guard who can back up Steph Curry. I mean, I like Dennis Schroeder a lot, so I think this is great for the Warriors. What do you think?
I agree. This is not a large price to pay. Three second round picks. Second round picks are literally whatever in the NBA. People throw them around left and right. They don't matter. And they don't often pan out. You know, you have the Jokic's of the world, the uh like Isaiah Thomas, and he was the last pick of the draft.
Hmm.
A couple guys like that here and there, but more often than not, you see these second round picks kind of just teeter out of the league anyways. Um, so yeah, getting Dennis Schroeder for three second round picks, I think is a great steal for them. He's played really well this season for the Nets. Honestly, I'm surprised the Nets didn't get more. I think
Yeah.
that's kind of a loss for them, not getting at least a first round pick or a young, kind of interesting player for their future. I
Yeah.
think
Like
could
a
have been
Moses Moody would have been
right.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would have made it a little more interesting because they're playing well. They are doing better than everyone thought. And Dennis Schroeder has been a big part of that. So um, yeah, I thought they could have got a little more, and I do think it's very good for the Warriors. I talked about earlier this season when we talked. I think it was about interesting teams or something so far.
Hmm.
I mentioned the Warriors because they were like 9-2, and I said, but I'm not going to talk about them because they played all these easy teams, and they've
Yeah.
definitely fallen back to earth since playing some real competition. So this is something they definitely needed, and Pods has been not very good this year.
Yeah. I mean, sophomore slump. He
It
hasn't
always
been very.
happens.
But yeah, I don't. As much as I'm not the biggest Pods fan, like I'm,
I don't like looking at him.
That's on it. Oh, I texted you this. I was like, "How do the Warriors have Lindy Waters the third and Brandon Podzinski?" That's what's crazy. That's crazy to me. Anyways, if you don't know what I'm talking about, just look them up. Do that.
Look him
Um,
up.
Look them up. Anyways, yeah. So this is good for the Warriors, and I'm curious if he's gonna suit up Christmas Day against the Lakers. Be kind of revenge game,
Oh yeah,
I guess.
he'll be playing like tomorrow, I'm sure. Whenever they
Yeah.
whenever they're playing, he's there.
Well, it's kind of nice because he can just really plug in like to
Oh
that
yeah,
system, at least defensively. So, um, that's good for them. Anyways, shall we dive into? I like what you did here with this one. I'll let you
yeah,
announce it.
yeah. I called this the NBA Cup date. Of course, yeah, Cup update. Combine the words. You
There
get
you
it.
go. Claps, claps.
Thank you.
I almost thought it was a typo and almost went to change it, and then yep.
You're like, oh, never.
There you go.
As you said,
There you
actually,
go.
Damon would never make a typo, so I
He
don't know what
could
I'm talking
never.
about.
He's never done that either.
Yeah, not once in my whole life.
Mm-mm.
Sometimes when I text people lately, I just like forget a whole word. I'm like, I was
I
typing a sentence and I just didn't include that word. That's weird.
I forgot. I texted someone yesterday, and I forgot two words in a row. I was like, "How did that happen?"
And I just sent the rest of the message like it was normal. And I was like, I looked back at it and I was like, strange.
It'd be happening.
Anyways, when we last talked, we were basically potting during the Rockets Warriors game, and we predicted the semifinal as well as the final matchup. Um, but here is what has happened since. The Bucks, with a fourth quarter surge, ended up putting away the Hawks by 8. It was kind of a game of runs. They were going back and forth. It was pretty close until the end. Like I said, the fourth quarter. Giannis, 32 points, 14 rebounds, 9 assists. Damian Lillard had 25.7 assists, 6 rebounds. An interesting thing that I saw, Chris Middleton has been coming off the bench for them since returning, after the double broken ankles or whatever he came back from this off season. I don't know when he'll plug back into the starting lineup, but he's still not there yet. And Andre Jackson Jr. and Torian Prince have been starting. So Gary Trent Jr., who they signed in the offseason, moved to the bench. Um, and Middleton, of course. So I think it's interesting. They kind of switched their lineup up. They've had a lot of success, I think, in our panic meter episode. I think they were one of the fives that we doled out
Yeah.
because they had a really, really rough start to the season, but they've definitely turned it around and are looking pretty good. And
Y-
then the Hawks, Trey had 35 points, 10 assists, 7 rebounds. I thought this was interesting. He's leading the NBA in assists with a little over 12 a game. But he's still, of course, the Hawks guy. He's still going to be their leading scorer. His efficiency, though, is quite bad this season. He's shooting 39% from the field, 32% from three. So he's been really good as a playmaker, but scoring wise, he has not been efficient.
Yeah, those are not good shooting splits
No.
at all.
And then the interesting rotation thing I thought of when I was kind of looking at this game is that Ricochet has been starting a lot instead of DeAndre Hunter. But Hunter is playing a lot more minutes. So Ricochet will start and play like 18 minutes, and Hunter will come off the bench but play like 30 minutes. Um,
Hmm.
and DeAndre Hunter has just randomly turned into a scorer this season. He's like
Yeah.
no longer a defending wing. He just comes off the bench and is yin buckets. And I don't know why that's happening, but it is.
And it's working for them. I mean DeAndre Hunter was kind of like an outlier because he was playing really well, got a big contract, and then he wasn't really living up to that contract. And this season, yeah, he's like, okay, you know what? I can score and not just play defense. So it's been interesting. I didn't know Ricochet was starting. I keep missing the tip off for these games, but that's
Yeah.
interesting. Um, and yeah, so on the other side, I forget, did we predict the Bucks winning? We did, right?
Um, I want to say I said Bucks and you said Hawks. As
Okay.
I think
I
maybe
I sounds like me because I would be doing stuff like that. Um, and on the other side, in the West, we got Thunder versus Rockets, and the
maybe you did
Thunder
say Bucks. I don't
I don't remember. And it's okay. The Thunder did beat the Rockets by 15. It was a really close game, like the entire first half, and then I know like the Thunder just pulled away. I think in the fourth quarter, they just went on a run.
Yeah.
SGA had 32, 8, and 6. J Dub, Isaiah Hartenstein, and Lou Dort combined for 60. I mean, that's really good. That's
Yeah, I think
92 points right there.
if I remember it was one of them had like 21, one of them had 20, and one of them had 19.
That's like really good.
Yeah.
And then Amin Thompson was a Rockets leading scorer with 19. I mean,
That's
you
not a
know,
good sign.
not a good sign, but I
He,
mean, good
he
for
comes off the
him.
bench and he plays defense. Why is he our leading scorer?
Yeah. Well, and as a team, they shot 36.5% from the field, 23.9% from three, and 60% from the line. You got to make your free throws at least. Like
Hard to
that.
win games with those efficiencies.
Yeah, you can't be 60% from the line. That's terrible.
Thunder are a good defense.
They are, but you got to make your free throws at least.
They were booing us too well. Um,
Yeah, oh, they were too good. Oh man, it was too loud in there. Anyways, but Thunder are at this time a better team. But of course, it would have been nice for the Rockets to win. But let's talk about the final. So I watched the final. You want me to take this one? I can take since I watched
sure.
it. Yeah, so the Cup Finals against the Bucks and the Thunder. And you said it best right here. You said it was a gritty defensive game, which it was. The first half was really like it was tied, lead changes, so many like back and forth. Thunder got like a lead in the beginning by 7, and then the Bucks came back and tied it up, and then it was like 56-57 at the half. I think it was Bucks.
Hmm.
And then the second half came along, and the Thunder were already shooting like I think they were like 2 for 18 in the first half from three. Like and,
Jesus.
and they were like only 1 point down. I was like, that's actually crazy how close this game is, considering the fact they're like 10% from three.
Right.
Second half comes around, and I mean, like the Bucks just locked in, and they were able to get stops when they needed to. The Thunder kept shooting threes. I don't know if that was their like they're trying to shoot themselves out of it.
Hmm.
And I mean, they were playing really good defense. SGA like just couldn't really get going. Same as J Dub. So yeah, the Bucks won by 97-81. Yeah, once this game got to like a 20-point lead, it kind of just fell off from there.
Right.
The Thunder is a team like you, so you have the percentages. They shot 34% from the field and 16% from three.
Hard
16%.
hard to win a game when you shoot those percentages.
And it's crazy because they're one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the league. So this was just that game, and it happened during the Cup final.
Right.
Couldn't just be like any other game. Giannis played very well. He won the Cup MVP. He had 26, 19, and 10 in the game. I mean, I noticed that he just you don't really you can always hear how hard it is to stop Giannis, whatever. But then you watch a game, you're like, how are you supposed to like
Yeah.
stop that? And he also has added things to his game. Like he has a mid-range kind of now,
Hmm.
which not too bad. Um, this is interesting though. So afterwards, the Bucks did not celebrate with champagne dowsing,
Yeah,
as
they
was
had all the stuff
expected.
laid out. They had like the goggles and the champagne and stuff
Yeah.
like ready and it's just untouched.
I like that. I mean, so Doc Rivers stated that after speaking with Darvin Ham, he wants the team to focus on the rest of the season. I mean, that is the right mindset. You should celebrate this, but maybe not with the whole like you won a championship, Like you should be happy you won. That is really great for a lot of the younger players to get the extra money. And I do like now that this year it's like an East team. I don't know.
Hmm.
I thought it was cool.
And the
And
Darvin Ham thing was relevant because
you want to say it
no,
because
I, I'm
I
I'm I'm Just queuing it up for you.
Set me up, baby. Darvin Ham is undefeated in NBA Cup games. Starting from last year with the Lakers, they were undefeated, and then this year with the Bucks. So he is 14 and 0,
14 and
16 and
0.
0. Yeah, 14 and
Yeah.
0 in the NBA Cup. So next, whoever wants to win the NBA Cup, get Darvin Ham on your coaching staff right now.
But yeah, he was the head coach of the Lakers when they won, and I guess after they celebrated, he basically said like it doesn't mean anything actually because the rest of the season went the way it did. So that's why Doc was like, okay, let's not do that.
Yeah, I mean, I respect that because, like I said, they're very happy I saw them on the court. They're very happy to win and everything, but yeah, not really needed to do go all out to celebrate, right?
Right.
Um, but yeah, so the Bucks won. They deserved it. The Thunder played very well. This was an outlier game for them for sure. It just wasn't their night from three, especially. So,
If you had to
congrats to the Bucks,
if you had to pick MVP right now, who do you think it would be?
MVP of the league.
Yeah.
Probably Jokic.
So it's Jokic or Giannis. Those are the only two that are
Yeah,
it. No,
honestly. And I
they've been
don't
so good.
I every time I watch the NBA now, it's not even related exactly to the game I'm watching, but I just cannot believe Luka didn't get MVP last year. He led them to the finals,
Well, it's a
you
regular
know?
season award.
But he should have won last year because Jokic deserved it this year. I think, at least right now. Should have been Luka last year. Because I don't want to go to Jokic again, you know?
Four out of the last five would be crazy.
I know. That's why
That's
anyway.
legendary stuff.
I mean, it's like he's like the best player in the league or something. I don't know.
Something like that. I don't know.
I don't get it. Anyway, do you want to do your Rockets update? Because I just went twice in a row.
No, I
I
want you to do the Lakers because I have the Rockets leading right into my first pet peeve and a
okay,
perfect segue.
fine. Okay, I'll do it. There's not too much to talk about the Lakers. We did injury stuff last week.
Yeah.
So they're currently 14 and 12 and 10th in the West, which is so funny because if they were 14 and 12 in the East, they'd be like sixth. So
Yeah,
something like
I'll
that.
check that right now.
Yeah. In LeBron's return, so LeBron took a couple days off.
People were
Uh,
really speculating about that too.
yeah, and I knew it was. I
Of
knew
course,
yeah, of course it's LeBron. But he returned against the Grizzlies, who are currently second in the West, or maybe third now.
they'd be
Um,
sixth in the East, by the way.
that's exactly what I said. I said
Yeah,
they'd be sixth in the East. Wow,
there you go.
like I know the league. Crazy.
Well,
But thank you for checking.
ball nowhere.
So yeah, but LeBron returned and they beat the Grizzlies, who are a really good team. They're full
Oh yeah,
strength right now. Even with Jay Huff, they were able to beat them. So that's pretty
that's
cool.
that's a
Um,
feat.
yeah, 116 to 110. It was like a blowout in the first half. Grizzlies did come back. Lakers always start, in the third quarter, giving the game, kind of making it interesting, which is not fun uh, for us because then like they go to overtime against teams that shouldn't go to overtime. It's a callback to when they played the Hawks, anyways.
Hmm.
But they did
Hmm.
win, and it was a very good win. Austin Reeves, LeBron, and AD played very well. And the Lakers play the Kings tomorrow, and then they get on Saturday. And the Kings are kind of slipping, so we'll see if they're able to get some wins out of this. And then we'll be going into Christmas Day and all that. So we'll see. They should be making some moves before the trade deadline. We'll keep you updated.
For sure.
Mhm.
Yeah. The Rockets, 17 and 9. We are third in the West, tied with the Mavericks, so we're still sitting nice and pretty. And we literally have not played a game since that NBA Cup game against the Thunder. It's the only game we've played since our last podcast. So that's it. That's all the news I have for you. And that's why it segues perfectly into my first pet peeve.
Let's do it.
Boom. Real quick, we're doing three each. We brought, had some more that we can maybe talk about here and there, but three ones we want to focus on each. Pet peeves we
Cool.
have with the National Basketball Association. My first one, scheduling. Um,
Let's talk about it.
let's talk about scheduling. Why haven't we played a game in 6 days? I don't know, but it's crazy. I part of it is probably because the NBA Cup. We had a chance to go to the championship, but still, we should. have not done that. Well, I'm sure we could have found a way around it. But we literally haven't played, like I said, for 6 days. And my first point I want to bring up is this idea of the inconsistencies in the NBA schedule. You will notice, and I looked at the Rockets for this particular point, but teams often have breaks that are 3 days, 4 days, or longer, but they also will play back-to-backs, 2 games in 2 days. That's not good for NBA players, you know. I'm sure it's not good for their bodies, kind of not good for the routine of the game. I have to play 2 games in 2 days and then 2 games in 6 days. Like that, that throws them off. It throws us off as fans. We want to keep up with teams, watch teams, and when they play kind of all over the place, it's weird. There are days with games, 4 games a night, and then there are days with 13 games a night. And as you know, me and you were doing a fun podcast together, so obviously we don't need to watch 13 games, but um, there are people like Stephen A. Smith we talked about last time, 6 years, $120 million, whatever that contract was. He's expected to have watched every game. Obviously, he's not going to, but as a national ESPN reporter, he's expected to be a connoisseur and consume all this basketball content. And how is he expected to do that if there's 13 games happening at the same time? It's just not really possible. And you can always there's playback. You can go back and watch them at a later time, but it just doesn't make a lot of sense. And I don't understand why the NBA does that. But for the Rockets particularly, um, yeah. So tomorrow will be the first time they play in 6 days, and they've only played 26 games this year. They've had five back-to-back sets already. So 10 of their 26 games have been in a back-to-back. Some of those games included travel. So, for example, I saw it was like November 10th, 11th, I think, were the 2 days. We played in Detroit against the Pistons, and then we played at Houston the next day, a home game. So they in the game at 9 p.m., 10 p.m. They go to the airport, fly to Houston, go to sleep at 2 a.m., wake up, and then you're playing again today. Like, that's not good. Like, there has to be a better way around it. Um, So yeah, the back-to-backs, the long breaks, the inconsistencies of how many games per night, those things I think are all kind of an issue. I texted you this not that long ago, but I did want to bring it up on the pod about the Spurs, another team that I was looking at. It's currently 13 and 13, so they've also played 26 games. They've played 2 games against Eastern Conference teams and 24 games against Western Conference teams. And I have the dates listed. They played November 13th against the Wizards and December 5th against the Bulls. Those are the only two Eastern Conference. The season started October 24th. Those are the only 2 games they played against Eastern Conference teams. How does that make any sense? Yeah.
Were those home games?
Um, I don't know. That's a great question.
Okay, that's fine. I just thought I'd ask.
So I
But
think
yeah,
the
continue.
overall problem with this particular pet peeve, I think there's too many games. Um, I think that causes a lot of the issue. At least too many games in the amount of time the NBA is trying to have an NBA season in. And I think about what made me think this was baseball. I don't care at all about baseball. And I think part of it is because there's 162 games in a season and they play every day. Half the time they play during the day. Sometimes they play twice in one day. It's a real thing that happens in baseball to play a morning game and then a night game. And how am I supposed to like that's so much dedication to be like a real fan for me to follow it. I'm sure baseball fans don't watch 162 games of their favorite team a year. But like if I really wanted to dedicate myself to the craft and like do that, it's impossible, especially when they play during the day and stuff like that all the time. And it just lessens the value to me of a game. I think one of the reasons that football is so huge is because it's once a week. Like people can just tune in every now and then, and it's only 18 games now. They add an extra game to the schedule, and then playoffs, of course. I'm not saying the NBA should do 1 game a week. Obviously, that's not enough for basketball, but I think that's part of the appeal of football is you don't have to be so like locked in a day out basis to be like a fan of the sport. You know, on Sunday, usually for most teams, that's when I can pay attention to that team. Um, And I know the biggest issue with lowering the games amount, of course, would be for me at least, what I thought of would be counting stats. So you think of players like Luca, for example, who has been so good his first 5 years in the league. If you lowered the games to 70 or something like that, obviously that's not going to give him the same opportunity to reach all-time scoring and things like that, like some other players like LeBron has had the chance to do. Um, but to counter that point too, less games, less back-to-backs could be less injuries, less time missed for those star players and things like that. So,
Longer career too,
right.
possibly.
And that thank you for bringing that up. Actually, that's something I wanted to talk about is have you seen retired NBA players? Have you seen what their hands look like? What their feet look like? Like they're literally like I'm not joking. They're messed up. Like they look bad. Like they can't hold stuff properly. Yeah, and it's just, it's I think obviously I don't think they'll lower the games because money, more games you have on TV, the more money the NBA
Yeah.
gets, more fans coming to the stadium, the more
Hmm.
merch you sell, all that stuff. But I think it would ultimately make a better product, and I think it would make players happier, and I think it would be easier. Um, so yeah, that's my tangent on the NBA schedule. That was a lot. I'm sorry, I just kind of ranted there for a long period of time. But do you have anything you want to critique, respond to, add, anything like that?
Yeah, well, thank you for bringing that up. I mean, I didn't even think you were going to talk about scheduling. So, it is something I've noticed, like back to backs, especially when traveling. Like I know the Lakers, they played like a game in Toronto, then a game in Detroit. It's like, and two away games. Like,
Right.
it's different. Even if you go home, you get to sleep in your own bed before the next game. But it's like, no, you're going to sleep in hotels,
At
and on
2
these,
a.m.
and
Because
and
they,
usually. Well, I was gonna say usually these road trips are also like 6 days, so they're gonna play like 3 games. So they'll
right,
fly exact. So it's like you fly. Let's say like Chicago, you have a day off to travel. Then you play Toronto, then Detroit. Then you have a day off, and then you go to New York, and then you go
yeah,
home. And it's like, why not give an extra day? And I mean, I'm sure there's so many logistics that go into it. Like stadiums also have concerts, and they have
right,
other events like LA, where the Lakers play, they also have the LA Kings. So they have to worry about not just the Lakers. Now at least they don't have to worry about the Clippers. But you got the Lakers and you got the LA Kings, and they both have 82 game seasons. Like, how do you all, and it's during the same time. So,
right.
I can't imagine like that job, like scheduling. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
the
no.
the biggest ridiculous thing that you brought up is the fact that the Spurs have only played two East teams so far. That is absolutely crazy to me. That doesn't make any sense
And
whatsoever.
it
You
could be
can
other
get,
teams too. I just happened to notice
yeah.
that on theirs.
But on your point, like I love that we have an 82 game season, but I recognize that, they have its issues, and I am different than most NBA fans, right? Most NBA fans will catch the end of the season and then the playoffs for sure if their
Right,
team makes it. Right? We watch all the time. Like I catch a Lakers game anytime I can. And is it tough? Yeah, but I miss some for sure. But it's nice to know. Like I thought the Lakers played today. I looked it up. There's no games tonight. Then tomorrow there's like 12. I was like, why? What makes today special?
right.
Compared to other things. So I agree with you with a lot of your points. But I don't know how to. I think reducing game like in the season probably not going to happen. But at least scheduling better. Maybe. I mean, there's a lot of injuries. Although I've only been keeping up with the NBA the last 2 years, 3 years. Seems like there are more serious injuries this year than the years prior. I don't know.
Mm.
So maybe that's something they should take a look at. I mean, these are people, these are human beings, and maybe you need to keep that in mind. Sometimes people forget that. So maybe think about that.
Yeah, I mean, I know, NBA athletes, they're in the top 1%. They take very good care of themselves.
Yeah,
Um, but when you play a game and it ends at 10 p.m. and then you go to the airport and fly to a new city and then go to sleep at 2 a.m. in your hotel and then wake up and then work out and then play another game,
that's
that does stuff to your body that you can't really control. Like that's not, that's not a good thing. So yeah,
it is so
back-to-backs
tough on
are
the
a huge
body.
problem.
Yeah,
Um,
I can't imagine.
I know this used to happen really because of our fantasy basketball league we used to be in, where players would play a back-to-back, have a day off, and then play another back-to-back. And that's crazy. 4 games in
Come
five
on.
days is
Yeah,
insane.
absolutely crazy. And I wish I knew the stat. I wish I had the time or whatever to look at like past seasons if this the last few seasons it's been happening more or less than like 2010, like if there were back-to-back games as much as this, but I don't have that time. So if anyone who listens to this wants to do that, please be my guest.
Right.
Um, but okay, I guess I can go. I will say this, I did not do that. I have like one sentence things to say, and I did not do any research.
That's okay.
But it can be a conversation.
These are just kind of things I noticed. I mean, this is the whole reason we had this segment is because these are things I was just noticing as I was
And it's
researching
fun.
other things. And I was like, this is weird. Like,
It was
hmm,
yeah, it was actually really fun to watch some basketball games and think what is pissing me off right now.
yeah,
Like I was so mine are more about the game itself instead
that's
of
fine.
like
I,
yeah.
I thought when I was picking some, I thought, um, I think Dom may mention this, so I'm gonna not do that.
I mean, that's why I have like six things, and I'll mention like a few. I'll mention three, and maybe at the end I can just throw in some a
Sure.
couples because a few of
Yeah,
them are
yeah.
just basically. But here, I'll talk about this first one. I mean, I'm not gonna say officiating as a whole because it's too played out. But I'm gonna pick some specific things they don't call,
Okay.
which is really annoying. And you and I have talked about this,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
we can talk about it. So traveling isn't called as much.
Right.
Traveling happens. Carrying
Yep.
is like never called, and it happens almost every game. And then also moving screens. These are the three I noticed the
Mm.
most of. They will call them every now and then, but usually they'll only call them moving screen if it was like a really violent moving screen. Like
They
you
stick the
should,
hip out.
yeah, you cannot move your feet. I think so. Let's talk about each one.
Let's do it.
Like so, I'll do. Let's talk about moving screens. So moving screens, when you set a screen, you cannot move your feet. You're not supposed to
Yeah.
move your body. You're supposed to
You
get
can't even
stand
like, yeah, you can't even like rotate.
cannot rotate. You cannot. You don't have a pivot foot. You're just supposed to stand there. And what
Yeah.
I've noticed is that guards will be at the past the 3 point line. There'll be a defender on them. A big will come up and just kind of hover and move around, waiting for the guard to make their move, and then step in front of the defender. That's a moving screen.
That's a moving screen.
Yeah,
That's
you
blocking the player. Yeah.
yeah, if you are blocking someone's path to defend, you're moving into their path. You need to go up there, stand still, and that's why it's tough. Like I'm not saying this is easy. Moving and giving a screen is easy.
Yeah.
Being really good at giving a screen and not moving is
Being in the
tough.
right place.
At the and
Yeah.
that's and so that's one thing that really upsets me. And again,
No,
they'll
that's
call it
that's a really good one.
yeah. Thank you. You and I have talked about this all the
Oh yeah.
time, but it's fun to do it this way. So traveling is right when you take more than 3 steps.
Two
Um,
steps and a gather.
two
That's
steps in a
important.
gather, and this is one thing that has been made me really upset because I want to hear your opinion.
Yeah.
Here's an opinion thing. Let's say I dribble to the hoop. I go 1-2 and I stop. Okay. So I have the ball in my hand. I stop. There's a defender on me. Okay.
Hmm.
I have a pivot foot,
Hmm.
and then let's say I take 2 steps away and put a layup.
That's traveling.
That's
You
traveling.
can
Guess
take
what?
one step out of the stop.
But players do too now,
That's
which
definitely
is
traveling.
which is it is infuriating to me because the defender is like he took one, stops, and then he takes a second one and then goes. I'm like that's you cannot do that.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen any refs call that. Like they'll call moving screens, but I
You
never see them
know
call traveling on that.
you know what I almost think it is? It
What?
almost feels like this is the NBA. Players know they dribble the basketball, and the refs like don't even look for it. Like they don't even think about traveling. They're thinking about shooting fouls, things like that. They're like, we know NBA players will dribble the ball, so like they're not consciously like, oh, is that 2 steps or 3 steps? Like I feel like it doesn't even pop up in their mind.
And that's totally possible, but it's happening so much. It's like if it's allowed, then say it. So then because it's really a disadvantage to the defender because the defender thinks it's just 1 step. So
Right.
they commit to one and then they take a second. And they're like, why did they just take a second step? They
Right.
just traveled. They never call it.
I
Anyways,
noticed when I at a school I used to work at, I would sometimes go in the gym after school and play with some of the kids that were on the team, and they would do these, hezzies as they called them, right? Hesitation moves, or things like that, and they would definitely travel. And I was like, "You just travel," and they're like, "No, that's a hezzy," and I'm like, "That was a travel," and so it's also impacting. the youth and how they learn basketball, which is interesting.
Yeah, so that it gets on my nerves. And I mean, like we've mentioned this before too, but like another thing that when we were growing up, you're at the 3-point line, you cannot take like 3 steps
Oh
back and
my
shoot.
goodness.
And
The
this is
James Harden special.
the James Harden special. Luca does it a
You
lot
got the
now.
wine. You got
And
the wine.
I got the wine. I stopped drink. My throat's a little sore. I'm not going to be drinking this wine. It's not going to make me feel better. So I'm drinking tea. But the thing is like, what is the rule? Is it two, three? Sometimes I see that. I swear they take like four. Like
Halliburton does it a lot too.
yes, and you know what? It's like make it a can. What is the maximum? Because like a defender will stop again. Like
When
it's
is the
just if
last time I saw a ref do this? I don't know.
it's
I'm
you
not
know
sure.
I see more double dribble. And they
Yeah,
call double dribble, which is pretty easy to tell because they'll like grab it and start keep dribbling.
yeah.
It's a lot tougher to call, I guess, when they have the ball still in their hand. But even then, like someone should be looking at their feet. Yeah, because that's what the beauty of footwork. Like players like Jalen Brunson is really good at this. I haven't noticed him doing traveling. He just knows how to, and even Luca, like he's so good. You have one pivot foot, but you know how to like
Kyrie.
distract Kyrie, amazing, and he doesn't take 2 steps to get out of that. And then anyways, so that's traveling. That's enough said. And
Yeah.
then carrying is when you have your hand under the ball,
Yep.
right? Every player does it.
Everyone.
It's like it's just like that is, and they'll call carrying sometimes, but I'm like, you can't pick and choose. They're picking and
It's
choosing.
yeah, they do this little thing. They roll the
Yeah,
ball in their hand. It's like that's not you're supposed to dribble. You're not supposed to
yeah,
do
yeah.
they do
That's
this.
the whole
I'm like,
thing.
what are you doing?
Yeah, and then like they'll I think the idea is they're supposed to like you could dribble from on your hand on the side. Like
Yeah.
usually it's like to pass or kind of get,
Yeah.
but you're putting your hand under the ball
Right.
till and like almost when players like you can get it with 2 hands, but then when you go into your action, you can't hesitate. Like they'll call it a hesitation because like they're hesitating,
Right.
but that's a carry. You're literally carrying.
Scary.
You're literally carrying the ball. Anyway, so they never
I
call
agree.
that. So that's my first pet peeve.
Yeah. And you know what? That goes right very nicely into my second one, which is titled officiating slash rules. So
Oh,
uh
nice. Okay, there we go.
this works perfectly. So here is what I have two big things here.
Cool.
I'll start with this. I literally wrote this so random. I wrote, what are the rules of the NBA? And I put, why do we call fouls for what doesn't even look like contact? And they call a foul and it's like that. Actually don't
It's
think that guy
like,
even touched him. Like I think
right.
he was near him, but I don't know if he touched him or he like barely grazed his finger or something. And then it says, but we can't call, this is what I named in order: travels, carries, and foul baiting, which they have gotten a little better at. Um, but the offensive player doing the pump fake, jumping into the defender, kicking the legs out. They've gotten better at calling kicking the legs out as offensive fouls, which is good. But um, here's what I have written: the rules are way too loosey-goosey and inconsistent from player to player and ref to ref. So what you just mentioned, we call it on some people randomly. I think, like you said, if we're getting rid of the rules, which I wouldn't like, do it. If we're gonna buckle down, we need a league wide, ref wide, call travels, call carry, pay special attention to those for the next 2 weeks, and call them every time you see them, and then maybe the players will stop. Right. I think that's the only way you could do it, rather than every now and then. And you can see the players get upset when they get called for something like that. Because they're like, I just watched that dude carry 5 possessions ago. And you didn't say anything.
What I see more than players getting mad is coaches. And I mean, I think it was this happened last year. Remember the Mike Brown brought the laptop and
The
everything. Like
laptop was
he
so
does it
good.
here, and then he does it, and then my guy does it, and it's a foul. It's like, what is the rule?
Right, right, exactly,
And
yeah.
yeah, so
Um,
yeah,
literally in the same game, we're not being consistent with what's a carry, what's a travel, what's a foul, et cetera, et cetera. And obviously, some of these things, actually, I'll save that point for because I have another thing with officiating.
okay.
But I also think they favor offense way too much still with the travels, the carries, the foul baiting. I think it's hard to be a good defender because
They're making it,
everything
yeah.
benefits the offense. They don't have to dribble. They can carry. They can travel. They can foul bait. How do I play defense?
And it's it's especially infuriating because you know why? It's because offense is more entertaining. Like that's what
Offense
like
is more
the
entertaining.
average viewer, like all the
Yep.
highlights you're gonna see are going to be, oh, did this guy, got rid of these defenders, made a crazy shot. Like they're gonna show that over a steal or a block, unless it's like really like athletic and crazy. So
Yeah.
um
And you've heard of the star whistle. Um, the guys like Luca and Shea, and they're not going to get those calls. But random role player X does a carry, he might get called for it, and it's like, okay, great, because I'm not your moneymaker guy. So yeah, I think consistency, one way or another, just try to be consistent with it because it's so inconsistent, and that's when you get the old heads that are like, God, this basketball sucks because
yeah. I
people,
mean, it's just different. Like I
yeah,
remember it being so about your fail baiting. So I was gonna fail foul baiting, which I was gonna maybe mention it, but you mentioned it. So the one thing that I never they're doing better about the legs kicking out, like you said. I've seen that actually quite a bit. So that's good. That's one thing that
yeah,
I think it seems pretty consistent. But I really hate, and I mean, you mentioned it, but I want to talk about a bit more, is that foul baiting, jumping in the air into a defender.
so bad,
Because how how is it not obvious that he got the defender in the air? How is jumping into a defender a natural shooting motion?
right,
That
right,
doesn't make the
or
yeah, I like Luca should be get 5 more fouls every game. Jalen Brunson should be getting 6 more fouls. Like Shea Gilgeous should be like 8. Like every time they get the defender in the air, it's a testament to their offense. Like they're so good, like they're so impactful that people are going to be jumping at them. But the thing is, if they're already in the air jumping at you, just stand still and they'll hit you. But like it won't be a shooting foul. So it's so
Remember Trey Young used to a couple of years ago would dribble down the middle and then stop, and people would run into him.
Yes, or well, I mean, there's another thing in basketball that is really gets on my nerves. Well, I'll get to that in a second, but
Okay.
it's just like it's when you shoot a basketball, I think it should be so the your front of the body should
Hmm.
never be in front of your legs ever. Like that's not you're not going to shoot a 3-pointer like this. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like so that's an unnatural shooting motion, offensive foul, easy. Like it's so easy. So why are refs calling not calling? That's what I just find insane.
Yeah,
Um,
and to touch on this a little bit more, I think we got to throw some player fault in there. Me and you, if we're going to play pickup and I pump fake and you jump, I'm never ever in my life going to jump into you. That's not
Never.
what I would do because it's not basketball. It's not in the spirit of the game. It's not what you're supposed to do. And players, a lot of players, so many players are just really taking advantage, I think, of the inconsistencies in the officiating. Again, partly the officiating fault, but it's the players who have to take some of the blame too.
For
Um,
sure. Yeah, I agree
like
totally.
there and we kind of talked about this last time with like the Chris Paul rip through, for example, but things that you do to help you win, but are not in the spirit of playing basketball. Like I'm trying to get the ball in the hoop. So that's the game, right? And I'm trying to prevent the other team from doing so. I'm not going to intentionally manipulate the rules to benefit my favor because that's not basketball. And I hate that players do that, and I wish they
Yeah.
would.
Yeah, and it really is some like it's some of the calls are really are tough for sure, but a majority of these are so blatant. That's the thing. It's like you just see in their eyes, like you can honestly just see like, oh, I got the opportunity. I'm just gonna jump into this defender real quick. If
Yeah,
we did that and pick up, I would no foul would be called. Number one, if I jumped and you jumped into me, it would just play on. Honestly, you know what I mean?
right.
Like unless I eat in the face, which I wouldn't do, of course, but on purpose. And if I did, it is. But like that's not a thing anyone would do. So right, okay.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you for bringing up your point. Yeah.
the second big thing I want to talk about this that you didn't mention is review. I want to talk a little bit about
Wait,
review.
is this your third pet peeve?
No, this is my other officiating pet peeve.
Okay, 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 cool, cool, cool.
Um, what is up with the review process? It is bad. Everything is reviewed, it feels like. Reviewed for potentially flagrant fouls, for example, reviewing for out of bounds to figure out who had possession of the ball, reviewing coaches' challenges, of course, they introduced that they call every now and then. And why does it take so long? I feel like anytime there's a review, I, as the watcher, am watching the replay as they're going through and reviewing it. And maybe after the second time, maybe the third time, if it's like something that's really hard to tell, I can tell very easily what happened. I'm like, oh, it went off that guy's hand, or oh, he slapped him right across the face, or oh, this and that. But it takes like 10 minutes. They stop the whole game and look at the review, and everyone's just sitting there twiddling their thumbs. Um, Here's what I think. Call it in real time. And that was the thing I was getting towards earlier, uh, that I neglected to mention because I wanted to save it for this. But yes, there are things that are hard to see. There are some things where you may not be sure. The backline ref, maybe a player was right in front of him, so he couldn't tell what just happened. I get it. There's a reason you have three referees. It's so somebody has an angle on it if they're doing their job correctly. Call it in real time. If you make a mistake, oh well. You will probably make a mistake for the other team because that's what happens. Because basketball is not a perfect sport. It's very fast paced. Um, what it does though, when they do this review, let's say a team is in the middle of a 12-2 run, momentum is gone because we stopped the whole game for 10 minutes to look at this thing that
It's like a
doesn't really matter.
it's like a free timeout for the people on the losing end of the, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, yeah.
And it's not good for viewership. Obviously, it's like I don't want to sit here watching you watch this replay for 10 minutes. I want to watch the game that was so good, and now we stopped it for this thing that doesn't matter. So,
I made a decision just now.
okay.
What I'm gonna every NBA game I watch, what I'm gonna start doing when there's a review, I'm gonna time it.
Yeah.
Because you said 10 minutes. It's not 10 minutes, but I want to know what the average time
It's
is
long.
because it's definitely like 3. And 3 minutes in NBA time is a very long time. Um, but it could be even longer. So I'm just announcing every time I watch a game, I'm gonna have, if there's a review of any sort,
Yeah.
I'm going to time it, and then I will have an average for you.
Great. I can't wait.
Just
Come
letting
up
you
like
know that.
6 times next time. Be like, yeah, let's listen.
Yeah, no, no, no. I will. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. I love doing things like that.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I remember, I can't remember exactly what the game was. I think it was Suns against Clippers maybe a couple years ago in the playoffs. Um, if you remember this, they had the Devin Booker, like Patrick Beverly hit the ball out of his hands, but then it went off of Devin Booker's like fingertip,
I
and they went to
do.
review it. I think the last 2 minutes of the game took like 27 minutes of real time.
Yeah.
Something insane.
I also remember a really long one was the Nets and Bucks game 7 with Kevin Durant's shoe
The
on the
the
line.
shoe on the line. Oh
Like
man.
that was such a long time for like you could see no space
Right.
between his shoe and the line, so it's obviously on the it's a 2. But
Right.
like they were like, we got this is a big decision. We got to spend 15 minutes.
Right.
I remember being in a casino in Lake Charles and like you weren't allowed to just stand there and watch a TV if you weren't gambling, and that's what I was doing. I was like, "Can you finish the game? I'm not gambling right now." So
They're gonna kick me out.
they're gonna kick me out. Okay, cool. Is that all for
That
pet
that's all of
two?
my second one. I know
Okay,
I'm
cool.
getting very wordy here.
No, no, no. This is good. This is great. The next thing so I'm going to talk about is it's very technical when it comes to the game, and it's about how to play defense.
Okay.
And what is something I'm noticing this year and also last year is I want to ask you a question. We both play basketball. We both played it our whole lives essentially, right? Let's say I am on the corner, like near the 3 point line, but I'm like kind of in the 2, right? Like
Okay.
next to the right. Okay, so I just get the ball, so I can dribble anywhere. How are you gonna defend me? Where are you gonna cut me off? Where are you gonna lead me to?
Uh,
What is your
I'm gonna lead you to the top of the key. I'm gonna prevent you from going baseline to the basket.
bingo? Bingo. Why are they teaching players to not guard the baseline? How many easy
People get
2
backdoored all the time.
It is infuriating. I'm like, oh, lead them to the key, and that solves your problem. And I see this in every single game. Whenever someone gets the ball in the corner, instead of twisting their body this way,
Yeah.
they twist them here, and they're like, oh, I'll use the baseline. But the thing is, they're never gonna get them out of bounds. Like they're gonna go right by them. Like
Right.
it's not gonna work. Or they're going to be able to like kick it in. Like you're just giving them basically the prime position. It's a quicker way to the hoop. You want to get
Correct.
them away from the hoop. Why are you giving me the space to go to the hoop? So that I don't understand that. And very few times does not guarding the baseline work out. Like you're able to remove that
Hmm.
option, and then they have to like do a wild pass. So rarely. It's way more safe to lead them away, like what you're saying, like lead me out away from the hoop.
And
Why
there's
are you giving me the
other
hoop?
people there, so you get them into like kind of a crowded position.
And I know what they're teaching too is that when you angle your body, you give them the baseline, technically there should be a person guarding the hoop. But the thing is, if they're guarding someone who can shoot the three, they're not chilling in the paint. They are
Right.
leave, and then it leaves it wide open, and they go lay it up. It happens. It happens so much I had to write it down. It's you know what I mean. Like
Yeah.
I love basketball, but I don't know everything. But I can tell when something's not working. And the thing is, they're not adjusting to that.
Hmm.
Anyways, that's the only. I just wanted to bring that up. That's a pet peeve of
That's
mine.
no, no, that's good. I like that a lot. Yeah, because I mean, one of the things I think that happens a lot in the NBA are backdoor cuts, even when people don't have the ball, they'll get caught what they call ball watching, right? They're looking
Yeah,
at the guy with the ball, and then their guy just cuts the baseline, free layup. Um, yeah, easiest 2 points in basketball, so you probably shouldn't get that up. Make them earn it.
probably. Yeah, exactly. Don't give them the easiest lane to the hoop. It doesn't. And yeah. Anyways, thank you, thank you. I don't know why they're teaching this now that you should give them the baseline. It doesn't make any
Those
sense.
youths,
I
what are they
used
doing?
to
What are they
I
doing?
used to get taken out of games if I was giving people baseline. They're like, that guy got by you too many times. You're out of the game. It's like,
Yeah,
oh, they're like always guard baseline. That was drilled into my head. Anyways,
yeah, and I can also think um, screen defense. I know it's hard with the moving screens that you mentioned earlier, but man,
that's what
screen
yeah.
defense is bad in the NBA. It's like it ends
Mm,
up with a wide open lob or like a three, what feels like 90% of the time. I'm sure it's not that
yeah,
high, obviously, but
yeah.
it's like every single team is running 50 screens a game because it just seems like unbeatable.
Literally, it's just that's the go-to, and it makes it also boring.
Yeah.
It makes it more tough if it's more of a chess match. Like, how am I going to get past this screen, or how am I going to get to the hoop if they're not just going to give it to me like they're doing it every. So,
Mhm.
um, yeah. Anyways, that's just I wanted to bring that up.
It's a good one.
Thank
I
you,
like it.
thank you.
Do you want me to do three? Do you want you to do three?
I think bring up your third because it might give me a better idea for my third because I have very simple things for
Sure.
my next ones.
Yeah, I titled this third one General NBA Discourse.
Okay.
So, uh, I think discourse around the NBA is not very good right now. And I think basically what has happened, it's kind of a social media problem. Um, but I think basically, people have very strong opinions. And I think that that happens when you have social media and when people can kind of post whatever they think, unfiltered. There's no real consequences, etc. They have opinions on the NBA itself, or they have opinions on specific teams, specific players, but almost none of it feels like it's the right reason. Um, I feel like NBA, and I put in quote fans, uh, have formed opinions basically based on consuming social media and what talking heads have to say about something, the hot takes, things like that. Uh, and box score watching is what I called it. Clicking on the thing, maybe looking at, oh my God, that person had 40 points. They must be so good. Which I do as well when I don't watch a game. I look at stat, like I put stats for some of the games tonight because I think it's just kind of useful to mention. But I also watch basketball too. Um, but basically, I think people will see, and of course I teach students, so I see a lot of this in kids. But they see something on social media, they automatically think it's true, and then they basically regurgitate that as a very strong opinion of their own, and that just kind of repeats, and then everyone kind of gets these opinions that are not so great. Typically, it's on the negative side because social media tends to be a very negative thing.
Mhm.
Um, and I just think there's a lot of NBA opinions out there from people that don't actually watch NBA basketball. So it's interesting. It's like people's opinion of LeBron. They're like, no, Jordan's better. It's like, you've watched 0 seconds of Michael Jordan.
No,
What
no,
do like, what are you talking about?
yes.
And if it's like a typically if it's like a 50-year-old person telling me that, I'm like, oh, you've been a fan like that long? Maybe I'll believe him a little more. But you
And
know,
even then, like, are you watching LeBron this year?
right?
Doubt
Are
it.
you actively
Yeah,
watching
yeah,
or
it's
like
like
for
it
the
was
comparison?
like, yeah. Anyways,
That's why when people ask me questions like that, it's like I don't know. I literally like a kid has asked me LeBron or MJ, and I'm like, I didn't watch Michael Jordan, so it's hard for me to say. And I can go back and watch, you know, highlights and replays, but obviously it's not gonna be the same as watching a person in real time. Um, I usually do answer LeBron, and it's usually I just say the longevity of he's been playing since I was 7 years old. I'm 28, and he's been like a top five player that entire time in my life. So like it's crazy. But of course, if you watch Michael Jordan, you probably feel that way about him.
yeah.
Um, but
And there
aside
is,
from,
yeah.
sorry, go
Anyways,
ahead.
yeah. No, I was just gonna say there's no answer to that, and I hate when you know yeah, people. I also don't hate it. I try to if someone comes up to me because they know I watch basketball, like you,
Hmm.
and they ask me something, and I give an honest opinion. They're like, "No, I don't think so." I was like, "I will have you watch this team that year this year." It's like, "No, you haven't." It's
Right.
like a little. It's like just give me some credit because I am watching like a lot of it, and I on the whole I agree with you, but please continue.
Yeah, no, and I think aside from the actual people, the fans, what have you, I think, like I mentioned, the talking heads, commentators, even like team commentators, you'll often notice are very biased towards their team. If you watch the kind of local broadcast, must be very biased towards their guys and kind of haters of the other teams. It's weird. Talking heads are going to focus, of course, on the Lakers, the Knicks, the big market teams, not really talk about the small market teams unless something like crazy is going on. And then there's kind of the clickbait, culture thing. Everyone wants the hot takes that are going to get the clicks and the views and all that. So they have to say the most outrageous stuff. That way people uh, will tune in. So it just fosters this weird relationship, I think. And we don't often get the appreciation and people that are really just watching and enjoying to watch and enjoy it. It almost feels like people watch to critique, like they look for things. Like that's what we're doing right now. We're talking about pet peeves specifically, but I'm talking about, we do a lot of positive basketball talk on the show too. Um, but yeah, people, it's like I'm watching this so I can find something to complain about rather than watching this to watch basketball. Or a lot of the times I don't watch basketball at all. So I just think
Yeah,
it's weird on like I guess the standard opinion of the NBA across like America, I guess I'll say, um, feels like the opinion is bad, but like for no reason.
yeah. I
So
mean, yeah, I get that too from a lot of people here. Like I'll hear, you they'll just read. Well, a lot of things are also taken out of context too, like these
mhm,
interviews and like these,
they get clipped
uh,
out and
yeah, and then like if you watch the interview or whatever, the next sentence is the exact opposite of what he just said. You know what I mean? There's
right,
things like that. But that's also just how information's consumed nowadays. That's why I usually don't look at things like that. But
right.
I am also pretty aware of it, so I know what and if I read something that seems out of character, then I like
You're like,
this.
let me
I
go
gotta
find the whole thing. Let me do my
exactly. And then I watched
research.
like there was a JJ Redick thing where when he just started and there was a quote that was going around like it was something like um it's like, oh, it was. What do you think about like is Rui Hachimura? Is he gonna like take a step this year? He goes, honestly, I don't give a fuck. He was just and then they're like, JJ Redick doesn't care about Rui Hachimura's, and there was like, and then the next sentence
That's
is
what he
literally
said.
like, and then literally the next thing is, I don't care about anyone's development. I want us to win.
Right,
Like our team is needs to be good to win them in a championship. It wasn't like he hates Rui Hachi. It was
right. So
so it was that's why I was like, this can't be right. And of course it wasn't. But people just read it like
Reddit
how
believed it, said, that's the truth.
yeah, so I get what you're saying. I mean that's just general discourse on news everything,
Yeah,
honestly.
also true.
Which is a
Also
good
true.
point. But I really like how your pet peeves are so holistic. Like it is so all encompassing and mine are like they don't guard the baseline.
I mean, no,
They
that's
need
good though. That's good gameplay
a
stuff. I didn't really have a lot of gameplay. I had some stuff about rules and stuff, but I didn't have like a day-to-day gameplay thing. I think that's kind of important,
Yeah, well, thank you. And that, I was also, again, like you said, I was looking for things to complain about,
right?
and I usually don't when we watch games. But here's my third thing. So, we mention it. I have two things, but I'll say this because this is definitely more of a conversation,
Yeah.
and this is players complaining. So,
Oh, yeah.
okay, so I
This could have
mean,
fit right into my officiating one probably. But
no, I
yes,
mean, we already kind of talked about it, so that's why it doesn't have to be too long of a moot
it's a good one though.
topic. Yeah, but it's, you know, um, players complain when they don't get a foul call, and that it's so obvious because like let's say Christian Coloco gets a foul called on him. Do you
Yeah.
think he complains?
No, he sure doesn't.
He sure does
And
not.
if he does, he's getting teched immediately.
Yeah, and then like you think, and then I would say LeBron Davis, LeBron James complains. He doesn't get back on. I mean, him and Luca.
Luca, my
Well, I'll
goodness,
just say
man.
they both have this. They both have this problem where they don't get back on
They
defense, and
don't
that
get
is
back
when
on defense. It's crazy.
that is the most unforgivable thing is that if you're on the ground and you're not getting back on defense, fine, you're on the ground, you
Yeah.
fell. But if you're on the ground, you get up and you go to the ref. The ref's running because he's watching. Like he doesn't care what you have to say. He didn't call
You're
it.
or if you're
Move.
on the ground and they didn't call a foul, and you look over and you're like, come on,
Yeah,
where's my
or
foul?
and what they do, this also drives me crazy, is right after a foul is called, they look up at the screens under and they're trying to see if it was a foul or not. And I'm
They
like,
do that
brother,
every time.
you just did it. You should know if you did it or not. It's infuriating. And then the other side of that, not just foul calling, but the challenge. This thing,
When are
every
you talking about when players do it?
yes,
When they call a foul,
100% when
players go,
players do. Yeah,
challenge it!
and
I didn't foul him, I swear to God.
no. So it literally, I watched it was
They
it
do
was
it all
Mavericks
the time. They
Warriors, I
do it on
think.
every foul.
No, and Luca, there was an out of bounds call, and it was like second quarter, early second quarter, and they were like, oh, it's Warriors ball, and he turned to Jason Kidd and did this, and play was like they were getting ready to set up, and Luca was not moving. He was like talking to Jason Kidd, just like, I guess I have to call a timeout now. And he's like, I just wasted a timeout, and I mean, he was right. But the thing is like, what if we were wrong, and then you don't have a challenge for the end of the game, and
And a
then
lot of times they are wrong.
they sometimes are, which drives me crazy. Like, how do you not know you touched it like? And then that's just yeah. It's when players with influence use it
Oh
is
yeah,
when it really upsets me because
it's yucky.
you're even like last year there was a huge clip of like LeBron James saying to Darvin Ham challenge, and he didn't, and he was like jumping up and down like throwing a tantrum. I'm like, you are a grown man. You deal with it seriously.
And they
Like
usually have a guy on the bench. They got a guy with a tablet watching, and
they have
he'll,
multiple
he'll
exactly.
tell them to challenge it. He'll be like, "Yeah, you can challenge that."
He's
And they always
watching
look. You can tell they always
everything.
go, "Yeah,
Yeah,
all
he's
right."
watch. They have a guy. They're watching everything, so you don't have to jump up and down and throw a tantrum. And I'm a LeBron James fan, but I mean not when he does stuff like that.
Yeah, no.
And same like when
It's the
you don't get
biggest
back on
LeBron
defense.
flaw. That
Yeah.
and it's that and it's the other. It's something I think that fits right into this vein. Flopping. Oh my God, I hate flopping.
Can I say something first, real quick?
Yeah.
I will say when it comes to flopping, I think it happens at least from watching this season a lot less than it used to.
Really?
But yes, I remember seasons past, like someone like moving and then like they do this motion and their like elbow is like
Always
a
this.
foot away.
Yes, it's they don't touch him and they go, ah,
Or even
you
so,
fouled me.
what happens? I think Jalen Brunson does this Shea, and I think they're teaching them to do that. Is when they're being defended and they dribble and they like bump into them, they automatically do. They always do a little neck
Yeah,
thing,
yeah, yeah.
and sometimes that'll be enough for the ref to like blow their whistle. And like they're it literally was just like it wasn't a foul. It was just
It was actually
the
the offensive
impact
player elbowing the defender and then do
and they
this.
throw the head yeah
So
and so many players do that and every time they do that I'm like please don't whistle and sometimes they do
yeah.
um and I mean I guess we kind of went back well you mentioned flopping so I was like why how we get into flopping so but it happens a lot less than I've noticed Usually when they review and you see someone get hit in the face, they are getting hit in the face, which isn't great. But at
Yeah.
least I'm gonna say at least they're getting hit in the face. But that it's like Dom on Two Man Game says they're glad people are getting hit in the face.
Thank God NBA players are getting hit in the face.
Yeah, yeah, but you know what I mean. So, uh, I would say that I don't know how are you supposed to curtail that? Are you not as a coach, you ignore your star player and then they complain, then they fire you, or as a
Which, but that has happened to a lot of coaches recently.
it's a
So
very real thing that and it's like you should be that should not be a coach's fear. A coach's fear should not be, is the star player going to get me fired because I don't call a challenge when he wants
that's
me to?
another, that could have been another pet peeve. Give the coaches back the power.
Yeah,
Like player empowerment
honestly.
is fine and dandy, but requesting trades and I actually run the team. Remember Kyrie famously said on the Nets, he said, "We don't need a coach."
I don't
Uh,
remember that. That's
he, he,
crazy.
yeah, he was talking
Is that when
about
Steve Nash was
when
coach?
Steve Nash was there. Yeah, he was like, "We don't even really need a coach. Like we got
Yeah.
it." Yeah, so a lot
Mm,
of
don't love that.
not like a lot of play like I get star players who make the league, but like they're a coach for a reason. In high school, for example, it doesn't matter how good you are, you're listening to that coach.
Absolutely. And I mean,
Because that's the guy.
I had my disagreements, and then he would bench my ass. And I was like, damn, I
That's
guess I
how
got to just
coaching
deal with
works.
it. Yeah, I mean, I had this one coach, me and him would always get I was wild because one coach, me and him were on the same page on everything. It was great. And
Yeah,
then my eighth, like my last year in middle school, I had a coach that just did not we did not gel. And I mean, this is our PE coach. It's not like he's a basketball coach
right.
by any means. But again, I was just like, you're not doing a good job. And then, yeah, I got in trouble actually. My mom had to come in and talk to him and stuff. It's kind of
Wow.
funny. Yeah, but it wasn't.
Toxic player.
Well, it was just because of I'm not gonna get into that right now, but we could talk about that another because it's kind of a funny story looking back on it. You remember how you had to get like you had I'm sure you still conduct marks, like so you get a grade and
Yeah.
then you have in your class conduct, like it's like
You get
you have
excellent, needs improvement, satisfactory, unsatisfactory. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. The amount of U's I got in PE was crazy
That's insane.
because of that. Yeah, because
He went out of
um
his way to give you unsatisfactory. It's nuts.
yeah, it was pretty crazy and yeah, but we could talk about that another time. But so that's my last thing. Just players complaining. I mean, is there anything else you want to add to that?
No, yeah, I mean, I think that's again, it's another thing we can kind of throw it on the umbrella, taken away from the spirit of the game.
Yeah,
Play
for sure.
basketball. And I'm not saying, this is not I don't remember who it was. It was somebody famous. Shut up and dribble. Told LeBron, shut up and dribble.
Yeah, it was some newscaster. Whenever he was taking, it was when Colin Kaepernick was doing like it was the national anthem stuff.
Mm,
And LeBron was like, I'm okay. I think that's good that he's taking a knee. He's doing what he stands up. And then someone was just like, well, athletes just like LeBron James just needs to shut up and dribble. And
yeah,
then there's a whole Nike ad about like, I'll just shut up and dribble. I won't stand up for what I believe. And that was, but
yeah.
I mean, dumb of her to
Um,
say. So stupid.
so dumb. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying players should have
Of
zero
course.
power, just play basketball. But I do think it's kind of it's gone a little too far the other way.
Yeah.
Where it's like players first and then coaches and then et cetera, et cetera.
Well, I mean, we are in
Um,
the era now of, well, like you mentioned, player empowerment. So
right.
that is, and it will trend back toward the middle, but then it's going to go too much far one way, and then it'll go too far. It's
I
just
definitely don't want owners empowerment. That's for sure. We can stay away from
absolutely
that.
not. Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. He's just looking for his millions.
yeah,
So,
right.
I did want to mention. I have a. Do you have any honorable mentions? I have one.
I don't have any honorable mentions, but there was one I looked at that I didn't bring to the table because I thought you were going to talk about it for sure.
What was it?
Jerseys.
Okay, I also didn't bring it up because I was like, we did a whole 3 hour episode about it,
I
basically.
thought you were just going to talk about, home teams need to wear white.
I
Uh,
That is literally I almost did, but I've said it too many times
other
already
team,
for me
we need
to.
to have a light and a dark. Sometimes it's two lights for some reason. It's not consistent. It's definitely not consistent.
That's what I do hate that. Yeah.
I had that season where I went to the Rockets 20 games because I got a bunch of free tickets from my previous workplace. And they're wearing different jerseys every game. I saw them wear white. white, red, black. The city jersey, they did the Hardwood Classic where they had like the San Diego Rockets
Yeah.
jerseys. They had like literally 6 or 7 jerseys they wore in the 20 games I went to. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, and I know I remember the argument for that when I brought that up. You're saying, oh, if someone goes to games a lot, they want to see different jerseys, which makes
Yeah,
total sense. But also, I don't care that much. Like I think it matters more that you're able to identify the two different teams. That's number one. You're able to identify the difference in the two teams. That's
yeah,
most important for sure. And sometimes teams wear gray and then others white. I'm like, what is
right.
that? That's like
Or
so.
famously the Pacers wearing
Oh
yellow
my.
against white every
It's like,
time they
yeah, and they're
play.
playing against White. I'm like, so I could pass it to a Pacer almost every time I'm a Nick player.
Yeah,
That so most important is be able to differentiate between the players.
yeah,
Second is I think fans appreciate more consistency than like what the fuck ever, you know?
right.
Like
And
I
I
was
was
just
gonna
gonna
say,
say, oh, you go.
I was gonna say when you have too many jerseys, then you don't wear them enough. I remember when they had the Hardwood Classic jersey, the San Diego Rocket jersey, they showed the schedule of like the games they were gonna wear. It was like 6 games.
Yeah, that's it.
Like,
Yeah.
like that's not a lot of rep for those jerseys. And they always wear those editions, except for the city edition, at home. Those other jerseys
Yeah.
they typically wear at home. So the city edition they'll wear on the road. But then it's just like,
What is the
black
rules?
and red. That's like the
What?
Rockets jerseys on the road. But
Yeah.
at home we wear 8 different jerseys. So yeah, like you said, we need to reel it in a little bit.
Yeah, and it's like it should be when you're at home, you wear white, unless it's your city jersey. I
Unless it's
think
the
that
city
should be.
jersey, you
I
got the
think that
court.
why would the Lakers ever wear purple at home? They should always wear gold, you know, or their city jersey. Their city jersey is gold,
Or white. They got a white jersey.
or sorry, if their city jersey is purple, it's purple. But the thing is, so white used to be for the Lakers used to be reserved for Sunday. They would call
That's
their Sunday
interesting.
whites. So they were yellow or gold. Now it's more yellow. It used to be gold. Anyways, they wear yellow at home, and then purple away, and then white on Sundays if they play at home. I'm like, okay, boom,
Got it.
consistent, done.
Right.
But now they're like, no, I'm gonna throw like I when I saw the Lakers play for the first time in Staples Center, and I cried because I've been a fan, at this point, like 23 years of the Lakers. They were wearing, they're like, they're remember the year when any team that made it to the playoffs, they got a special jersey,
I do remember that. Yeah.
and theirs was like grayish purple, and it was gross. And that was the first jersey I saw them wearing at home.
You said, what is this?
And it's like,
What am I walking into
why
here?
are they not wearing gold? You know
Right.
what I mean? Like it was so just it's so funny. That wasn't even one of my pet peeves, but thanks for bringing it up. I guess I do care.
Yeah.
But yeah, just consistency. I think an NBA fan cares more about that than, oh man, I didn't get to see them wear their blank jersey live.
Right.
It's like I watched the team at home. It's fine. Well, my honorable mention I was going to throw in there, players wearing two different colored shoes. It
Mm,
is growing
I
and it
know
needs to
I know you
stop.
don't like this one. I
It
know you
needs
don't like
to
it.
stop. It is it's so tough to look at and I
Are
hate
they
it.
two different shoes or are they are
Two
like
different colors. They're the same shoe, just two
same
different,
shoe?
completely
Yeah.
different colors. So
So
it's like,
basically they have 2 pairs of shoes and they took one from each pair.
yes,
Yeah, that's stupid.
that's
Um,
stupid. Absolutely stupid. Like, so Reggie, I mean, he's the GOAT, Reggie Jackson. But here's the funny thing. I find so funny because definitely younger players started doing it. And then Reggie Jackson's like, I guess it's cool. I'm going to do it.
I,
Because
I'm cool, so
Jalen Williams, J Dub on the Thunder
Yep.
is for Tyrese Halliburton,
Hmm.
Reggie Jackson, and there was one more random player. I think it was like a rookie on some random team or a sophomore player, like just someone who's like bench filler. And I was like, you what? Stop.
Yeah.
It's growing. Stop it. Stop wearing two different colors.
Put it out.
Just wear a different colored like sleeve. Like go crazy on that, but the shoes doesn't make it. Like it's pairs for a reason, you know?
Hmm.
That's in the name. It's a pair of shoes. Anyways. Okay. That was a lot of like
One more.
venting.
I'll do one more.
Okay. Come on.
I thought of this while we were potting. Um, I'm trying to think of how to phrase this. I don't like the end of NBA benches. They don't make sense. There's not a lot of consistency in them. you get 15 roster spots, right? You get 13 that you can bring to the game. So you have two people that literally are in the reserves and cannot play. But then you have 13 people that can play. Typically, an NBA team in a competitive game, we'll say, will at most play 10 players. Sometimes it's nine, eight, seven, depending on the team, depending on playoffs, what have you.
Coach too,
Coach,
yeah.
yeah. Thibodeau is playing eight guys. He has his guys, some coaches may play 10 guys, maybe 11 if they're feeling generous. In a blowout, you will get the garbage time, as they call it. And then that's when all those other guys you'd never heard of come into the game and play for a while. And these guys on every team are random. They're so random. It's like, here's this guy that was a second round pick 2 years ago. We're hoping he might become something on the end of our bench. And then he fades into the league and you never even knew he was in the league. Um, or here's this, what I think is probably more valuable, but you don't see a lot of NBA veterans. James Johnson, for example, on the Pacers. That's a good end to bench guy because he's been in the NBA a long time. He's gonna teach those guys how to do things properly, the right way, et cetera, et cetera. He can be a voice in the locker room for you, um, things like that. But if you got five guys on your bench that never play and they're all like 25 and younger, and half of them are going to be out of the league in 2 years, it's a lot of turmoil, a lot of turnover. Guys just constantly coming and going on the end of your team. It doesn't matter. Hard to build chemistry that way, I imagine. Different guys here and there. Same thing with coaches, different coaches, like coaching staffs are constantly changing. Coaches are getting fired so fast. Assistant coaches, I don't know a ton about because I feel like head coach is really the only one that gets a lot of coverage, but I'm sure assistant coaches, kind of same thing. Head coach comes in and wants to get his own guys in there. So he's going to replace it. And I just don't see how with constant coach turnover and, like I mentioned, constant bench turnover, obviously you're going to try to make your rotation work. You're going to trade players. I get that. It makes total sense. But those last five, six spots on the bench, I feel like they're just so whatever on every team. It's like just randomest people that are never going to play in the NBA or they have already had a long career and they're just kind of there. And I feel like that's better than random young guy X that's never going to make it in the league because he's never going to get minutes anyways. Um, I just don't get it. I don't know what the exact solution is. But you have guys like Patrick Beverley's oversee now. Not my favorite player, but probably can be just a guy to sit on your bench and talk to people at least. Austin Rivers doing podcast and sports media now. He's 32. He's not that old. But guys are just Alfred Payton just got waived, right? I feel like guys like that are more valuable on your bench than random second round pick from 2 years ago.
Yeah. I do agree with what you're saying. I wasn't sure what you meant at first, but I do get it now. I mean, I when I watch a game, I do think a lot. When I watch a game, my first thought is, man, it would be so cool to play basketball in the NBA. And then I think, okay, I'm on a team. I'm gonna be at the end of the bench.
Yeah.
Imagine night in, night out, suiting up, warming up, going on the court, laying it up, doing your drills, whatnot, and you sit on the bench and you don't play at all. I cannot imagine what that does to my soul, you know?
Yeah.
Like just like all you want to do is be out there. And I mean, what is it like? Okay, you only let 10 players max on your bench, and then the others are in the G League, so they get to play
Yeah.
or I don't know what the solution is.
Yeah.
And then
Send the young guys to the G League rather than
yeah.
keeping them on their 13th spot on your bench.
And then like if you have injuries like happen in game or later, like then you can like rotate, like it's not a set 10 for the year, it's you rotate in and out.
Oh,
But
I'm actually so glad you brought up injuries. I'm sorry to cut you off.
no, I was the end of my thought. It's fine.
But just like Alfred Payton, we have injuries and you have five guys on your bench and you don't want to play them. So you sign Alfred Payton to start for your team instead. Why was he not already on your bench? Why did you sign someone to jump six spots in your rotation?
Yeah. And there is also a this will be the last thing I say. But like these contracts, there's 10-day contracts. There's a reason why these really short-term contracts exist.
Yeah.
Christian Koloko on the Lakers, two-way contract. When we get everyone back, he's gone. And he's basically like a mercenary. He's like for hire. Um, you know what
Yeah,
I mean? Like
that's a good way to
he
put it. Yeah.
right? But like I he's not a bad NBA player. Just feels bad. You tighten up the reins. Do you make more teams? Do you?
Definitely need more teams.
I would love more teams.
Two more teams for sure.
Absolutely. That'd be great.
Seattle and
Paul Reed
Vegas.
has a home.
Move Seattle and Vegas. Move the Grizzlies to the east because they're in Memphis. And your problem is solved.
Yeah.
And the Pelicans.
Um,
Move the
yeah, I was
Pelicans.
gonna say those two. They're like way east anyway. So, yeah. Anywho, yeah, talked about a lot.
All right,
I
we had
can't.
three each. We did six each.
I mean, it came down to it, and that's fine. But again, this like because we've come to the end of this. Just to wrap it up, I do want to say I do love the NBA and I
Do
love
we hate
basketball.
basketball?
Just say like yeah, no, that's a quite like do we hate basketball? And JJ Redick hates Rui Hachimura. That's it. Um, no, yeah, I love basketball. I love the game. I love it so much that I am finding things that I wish were better.
Right.
We wouldn't talk about this if we didn't care.
Constructive criticism.
Yeah, we wouldn't
Adam
talk about
Silver. We know you're there.
listen to us, friend of the pod. We wouldn't be talking about guarding the baseline, which I doubt any podcast talks about. If we
That's
didn't
it. That's
care.
just a special treatment you get here on Two Man Game. We get you with
Just kind of yeah,
the
because
real
what the people
stuff.
want, what the people need, what the people
Get
need
you,
to hear. Maybe not what you want to hear, but we're the heroes you deserve. Okay,
yeah.
there you go.
Said it best.
Yeah. All right, take the shot.
I
All
I will now take the shot. Um,
right.
eh, here we go. Here we go.
Here he
Here we
is.
go.
He's
Satellite
gonna take
radio.
he's gonna take the shot. He's gonna take the shot. He's gonna take the shot. He's still taking the shot. Wow, where do you like 14th on the bench for a team?
Yeah, I hit the on-air sign. That was
That's
brutal.
pretty sick. Don't worry, it's still purple for you, so it's not didn't go to like yellow and green like
I
it does
hate the yellow and
sometimes.
green. It looks
I know.
so bad.
But yeah, just to wrap it up, I mean, this has been a pretty fun episode. This is a great idea. Thank you for talking about, we should talk about pet peeves. That was
Of
pretty fun.
course. Yeah.
Um, it's because you have to be critical of things you love. Otherwise, you're blind, and that's not fun. So,
Yeah. Have you ever watched
uh,
Love is Blind? It's not
absolutely not.
it is fun, but in a bad way.
Yeah, not a good way.
It's fun to laugh at,
Yeah,
but if I was there, I would be so sad.
absolutely. Um, yeah, but yeah, this was great. This was fun. I'm excited to see you next week or the week after. We'll
Yes,
figure it out.
sir.
And we'll do a podcast as soon as we can. And then it'll probably be going over the Christmas Day games if we're being honest. I mean, at this point,
Right.
reviewing that and then
What's your
like
NBA resolution? I guess this was kind of a New Year's resolution episode.
NBA result. I don't know what that means. Like, what I
Like,
want to do more
cause
for the NBA.
New Year, yeah, I guess we kind of
I
just
know.
did
I was
that though.
like, I meant like, what do I want for the NBA, or what do I want to do as an NBA fan? Like, what's my resolution?
Oh, like a personal one. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was saying. Well, I
Mm.
will say. So I
Watch
after
more Washington Wizards, maybe.
Dude, since buying NBA League Pass, one of the better purchases I've made. That was a great gift for me. I love it because I don't have a TV I can like screen to.
Hmm.
So I was either always watching on my phone or my laptop, and I don't like it. I like having it on the TV, and that way it's just like on, in my
Right.
room. So getting NBA League Pass has been great, and I've been watching a lot more basketball than I thought. I mean, I watched overtime Pistons Heat, which I mean, I watched Tim Hardaway Jr. make 9 points in 1 minute, which was crazy. I was like, where did this come from? And his dad was there. It was so funny to look at his face because he did make some bit bad choices too.
Yeah,
Yeah. Anyways,
as he always does,
yeah, but we love him here, friend of the
for
pod.
sure.
But as a resolution, what would I say? I would like to watch. I honestly haven't watched a lot of really good teams because
Mm,
I don't find them in like I haven't watched any Celtics. I've watched barely Cavaliers.
yeah.
I haven't watched who else is really good? Thunder, like not really, just like these cup games and stuff. So maybe trying to broaden it. I've been watching a lot of Raptors and Lakers.
Grady
It's so
Dick, this is
funny.
for you.
This is for you. So that's been
Uh,
pretty funny.
uh,
They're on League Pass. So it's
when
like,
I
oh, Raptors are playing on League Pass.
when I was looking for gifts, I had maybe about 5 minutes where I was looking at Grady Dick stuff.
I actually thought you were gonna get me a Grady Dick something. I thought you'd get me a shirt that has Anthony Black and Gritty Dick doing their jersey
That would
exchange.
be so bad. That's a
I
bad
know.
shirt.
I was like, I wonder if I would wear it. It's
You're
like
right.
because I was gonna say black dick,
It's
and
so
no
bad it's
one's gonna
like
get
not
it.
even wearable.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be funny. Anyways, yeah, this has been fun. Fun talking hoops. And we got technical. We got technical.
Oh yeah.
That's pretty fun.
Technical on this
Um,
podcast, baby.
Absolutely. So yeah, next time we'll cover like the end of the season, or sorry, the end of the year. Not the
Huh?
season. Let's say, what? Yeah, we're taking a break for a while. I'm telling you live on pod. No,
Oh
absolutely
shit.
not. No, I'm gonna watch so much basketball over the break when I'm back home,
Oh
especially on
yeah.
Christmas, and talk about those games. And yeah, I'm excited to play hoops. We'll hoop. We'll recap.
Yeah,
Uh,
maybe I'll film. I'll post a video of our hoop session.
Yeah, maybe I get my dad to film you and I playing, because then maybe viewers can get a little bit of like, oh, who is
That would be so interesting.
that would be really fun actually. And my dad can commentate, oh, come on, son. You got this. Shout out dad. Shout out dad, number one fan. But again, this is
Uh,
thanks again for listening. We really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed this, and thanks for being with us all this year. It's been pretty nice.
yeah, we
Um,
appreciate it.
We appreciate it. I've been Dom. That's Damon. This has been Two Man Game with Damon and Dom.
Buckets.